thoughts?
All right. Good morning, everybody. 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the episode 40.
Oh, shit.
Episode 40.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to the pod.
So, wait, is it episode 52 or episode 53? 53 would be 1 year, right?
No, 50. Well, there's 52 weeks.
So 53 would be the 1 year.
Mm-hmm. What are we going to do for that?
Get drunk?
We haven't really done that yet.
I don't know.
Wait, we did. I mean, we've drank like a little bit on the podcast. But
That feels actually like a very long time ago, when we had the wine bottle. Remember that?
Yeah.
Wow. That must have been like the first couple of Johns. So crazy. I don't know. We'll brainstorm it.
We haven't done an
later.
episode where we get completely and utterly trashed.
And say things we shouldn't say. Like,
I think that sounds like a great idea. Trying to make sure I don't look too disheveled right now. As you can see, I'm wearing the Balenciaga Puma sweatpants and the Balenciaga
champion collab.
Champion maroon pullover. Who are you wearing today?
Gucci.
Gucci?
Yeah, this is the Yingling Gucci collab.
Have you seen those fucking videos? It's like, all right, tell us what you're wearing and like how much it costs. And they look like they're interviewing a homeless person. And then they're like, yeah, these are like fucking like 8,000 Balenciaga.
Yeah.
Like penis jeans or whatever. And they just look like fucking dog shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're, yeah. That's fucking stupid.
I have this running theory, but I can't say it on the podcast, unfortunately.
Oh, okay.
But it's funny.
I just don't like that. I didn't really frame this super well. Oh, well. I just don't really like that. A lot of the times they'll be like, this is my Balenciaga jacket. It was $8,000. And then they're wearing something else and it looks like the same level of quality. And they're like, but these are just like thrifted. Like they'll mix like an $8,000 Balenciaga jacket with like.
It's called drip, David.
Oh, yeah.
Something
sorry.
you don't know about.
I don't know about drip. No, I drip. Oh, shit. Okay. Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to be breaking down
The last melon.
the last melon of our top 10 lists, top 10 album lists. This has been fun.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about you, but like I was making my list. I was like, no, this feels good. This feels good. And then the second I said the stuff out loud on the podcast afterwards, I was like, fuck, I should have put this record on there.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I mean, the long list of like the alternate albums are still the ones that I would like swap in and out probably.
What, the honorable mentions you did last episode?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of, I mean, it's just so tough. And then also, like, you know, I mean, I'll usher my way into the actual conversation, but it's weird because it's tough because I'm not listening to a lot of those albums right now. I mean, I actually I'm back on like a Tame Impala kick now because I was like listening to it in preparation for the episodes, but it was tough to like pick albums that's like I haven't listened to in a long time. Like Abbey Road specifically, like I hadn't listened to it in such a long time until I was like, well, I know that that's going to be on there, so let's like refresh myself a little bit.
That was one of the reasons like I chose some of the songs that I did though. Like, or some of the records that I did. Because, like, there's records that I'm listening to now or in, like, the past year or so that I really liked. But I was like, I don't know if I could put those on my top 10 list because I don't know if it stands the test of time, you know? Like, a lot of the times I'll love a record and then fucking 3 years later, I'm like, it's mid. Best example is Awaken My Love. You had that on your honorable
This album's
mentions.
so good.
I wouldn't call it mid.
So
it is a good
good.
album, but like I might have just listened to it too much. The dog's being funny. But I can't go back to that album.
Really?
Yeah, it's like I might have just killed it for myself. I just wouldn't call it in my top 10. It's a good album, but I loved that album when it first came out, and now I'm just like, yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I mean, I think I kind of have the opposite reason why it's not on my top 10 is that like I think it's so phenomenal, and like, you know what that album does that I think that album does what I wished the Silk Sonic album did, which was like they have like these references to like old school like soul and R&B and stuff like that, but it's still like a modern album, and then the Silk Sonic record is literally just like an old school album.
Yeah.
But the reason I think it didn't make it for me was because I just didn't listen to it a ton, and it didn't become like a favorite album of mine. Like I just think it is phenomenal, truly, but yeah, I just didn't. Yeah,
There's also a lot of albums like that, and music as a whole, that I find myself like you just said, you're like, oh, I can recognize that this is an amazing piece of work. I just don't listen to it all the time, or I don't really love it all that much. That's why, I guess you made the distinction of like these top 10 albums are not supposed to be top 10 albums of all time, period. Like, this is what's the best. This is like what you and I like enjoy the most.
Yeah.
So that being said, I guess we'll do mine first.
Okay.
Or first. What do you want to do? What do you want to do? Who you want to do first? What you want to do? What you going to do about it, huh? What you going to do?
Josie,
what you going to do? Huh? Yeah?
thank you.
All right, I'll go first.
Cool.
This is my number one. My number one album of all time. My number one album of all time is The Universe Smiles Upon You by Khruangbin.
That's it.
All right.
Hold on. I can do it. Great record.
Great record. So let's talk about it.
Great record.
If you don't know,
Josie, not now.
Josie, go lay down. All right. So if you don't know, Khurangbin, I think it's Thai for airplane. That's what that word is. They are a 3-piece band. Not fully instrumental. There's a little bit of singing, but it's mainly instrumental. It's Mark Spear, Laura Leasy, and DJ. Justine? DJ's last name. DJ, their drummer. They're originally from Texas. And they made this record that, what's it called? The Universe Smiles Upon You. And it's like if you took flamenco guitar and mixed it with cool beats to study to. But how am I going to describe this to make sure people understand how fucking awesome this sounds? It's
like it sounds like if cigarettes were good for you and drinking beer for breakfast was okay, and summertime.
It's just such a chill album. It's like almost all instrumental.
It sounds like you own a convertible that you've always wanted.
That's the way. That's the way to describe it. Yeah. It's like, finally. No, it's so good. It's good for any occasion. If you're like hanging outside and it's the summertime and the sun's out and you just want to fucking vibe by the pool, it's that kind of record. And you throw it on and it sits. It's not in the background. It sits in the forefront, but it just melds with everything that you're doing. Or if it's it's Christmas Eve and you're hanging out and you're having a hot cup of cocoa. It's there, and it just kind of blends into anything you're doing. It's just such a great record to put on.
You can have a cocktail in the evening, or you can throw a frisbee in the daytime.
But I don't want people to think it's a background album, because there's a lot of albums that are like background albums. It's just somehow they captured the perfect balance of background music with forefront interesting capability. You know, a lot of like background music, it's not that interesting. It's just fucking noise. This, I can drift in and out of this record while I'm enjoying being around like people or something like that. It's just, it really is a feat of simplicity. One of the other things that they do on this record, this is a perfect example of getting a melody that's, what is the word? Intoxicating, and not being afraid to just fucking loop it. So Mark Spear is the guitar player. They say, the guys at Khruangbin, they say that their mentality is that the guitar is like their vocals, and the guitar should act like vocals. So it's very melodic guitar stuff over the bass line and the drums. And what they do a really good job of is they break it into sections, and then it's just like, okay, this section sounds great, and they just fucking loop it. And it's a perfect example of not doing too much, you know? I don't know if I'm making any sense.
Making excellent sense.
Yeah. It's fucking great. Wait, no. Yeah. All right, go ahead.
They may also, like, I think what David's saying kind of makes it sound like they're just looping they're just like vamping the same thing over and over again, which they do, but they have multiple sections of every song, and the songs do a really good job of like having a distinct, like, you know, I don't want to say timeline, but there is like a climax to these songs. Like they aren't just like mindlessly arranged, and they're not just like vamping a loop that sounds like groovy. They do that sometimes, but then like there are these bigger moments where things are culminating to something.
I never even realized that. But I think that's like the defining factor of what sets this aside from like Cool Beats to Study 2 style music.
Yeah.
Like chill fucking like background beat music doesn't have any climaxes.
It doesn't progress at all.
It's like if you took
Khruangbin absolutely does.
And not to mention, this is not to say about their record. I mean, the record's great. This is just about their live set. Legitimately, I think could be the best live show I've ever seen.
They were fucking sick.
Fucking incredible. They do these big mashups of like hip hop and EDM songs, and then they like put their little Khruangbin twist on them, and they do these big medleys. It's fucking awesome. And I saw them twice. We saw them once at this music festival, and it was just them on the stage, and they do these awesome, it's not choreographed movements where they're like dancing, but like they'll just be like playing, and then at the same time they'll both just like, Mark Spear and Laura Lisi, they'll both just turn and then just like cross paths, and it's again so simple but so tasteful and somehow so intoxicating. Fucking awesome. Shout out Khruangbin. You guys are fucking great. Definitely all their other records are really good too. They're definitely just, have become a lifelong favorite of mine in the past 4 years or so. And this record, I will never get tired of this record. The Universe Smiles Upon You is on repeatability a 10 out of 10. I can listen to it fucking. There was a point in time where I think I put it on like every morning just to like start my day. Didn't get sick of it. And I get sick of albums kind of quickly. So, yes.
Today good.
Great fucking record. Shout out to them. Can I have some of that coffee?
Yeah, let me have a sip of your Dragon John. Just so you guys know, this isn't here for me. This is just on display. So I'm not allowed to drink that one.
I'll be fully transparent about it. Liquid Death liked one of our reels. This is my attempt. Hey guys,
What's up, y'all?
you guys liked one of our reels before.
All right, sick. Well, here's to you guys.
Here's to Liquid Death.
My
all
number
you do.
one album is Currents by Tame Impala. Currents by Tame Impala.
Tame Impala.
So why do I like this album so much?
Tell me, Carl.
I mean, I like it for a lot of the same reasons that you were saying last episode. Because it was your number 2, right? Yeah, it was your number 2.
Yeah, I don't even remember what I said, to be honest with you.
Well, you were talking about...
I burped at the same time, dude.
Interesting.
And we're wearing headbands together. And last episode, we both had mustaches.
Damn. What happened? You got rid of it?
Yeah, I got rid of it. Can I be 100% honest with you?
Yeah.
I watched the podcast episode and I was like, we can't both have mustaches. This is fucking stupid. That was like the main reason that I did it.
Dang. Well, it was fun while it lasted.
Yeah, maybe I'll bring it back when Carl shaves his.
Okay, so you were talking a lot about his like bold step into pop music, which
Kevin Parker, yes.
I think he in a very unique way kind of like hit these like super satisfying like cornerstones, foundational points of like pop music, whether it's like the sound design from the synthesizers or the way that the drums and the vocals are mixed together throughout the album. But then he still keeps a lot of like the really trippy shit with like fucking putting flangers on the master fader, which is like when you put the entire song through a sound that goes like whoosh, whoosh, and that's kind of what it sounds like. And it's sick, and he does it a lot, and it makes it fucking these really, really cool moments.
We could show everybody. We could do what we've done with the plugins. Here's what a flanger sounds like. Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, I feel like you need like a long
Yeah, we
bit of
can't.
thing. You can't just like be like, here it is.
Yeah, that's what a flanger is. So if you hear that, is it a flanger or a phaser?
I mean, it's on the actual like what you're hearing in like Eventually or like Past Life. Flanger, 100%, especially on Past Life. Like,
what is the difference between a flanger and a phaser?
Well, I can't remember exactly what a flanger's circuit is, but
A phaser is just taking the same waveform and like moving it, right?
So what a phaser does is it duplicates the signal, and then it's taking the one and it is modulating its time. So it's similar to chorus, where chorus is creating a vibrato on one signal. This is like moving the timing back and forth of the one signal and then mixing it back in. And what that does is it fucks with the phase, and it makes it kind of like fall in and out of phase, which is what creates like that sort of...
And then what the fuck is flanger doing?
I'm not sure.
Similar sound,
but it's a little bit more like brutal, I want to say.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean?
But also, if you use, I know a lot of people will use flangers like on their pedal board, like really subtle flange as like a chorus effect.
Yeah.
So I think it's probably more in
A combination of both, maybe.
Anyway, this sound right here, that's the Tame Impala sound, and it's a flanger or a phaser.
Yeah.
One of those.
I want to talk more specifically about currents, but I can give specific examples where I know that he's using a flanger and know where he's using a phaser. But
Whatever.
Currents also just like is so emotional. This is one of the albums that like the lyrics really like fucking get to me, dude. Like it's a pretty sad breakup album, you know? And I think just it is like an album that I was like, I can't believe that a person can like make this music. Like it just blew my socks off, bro. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Sorry.
Can't give it away for free, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I do not disagree. I don't. It's a fucking.
I still listen to it and I'm like, I can't believe this was made in 2015 and I still can't figure out how the fuck to make like drums and bass mix this well together and fucking like.
How would you say it's mixed?
I mean,
because before you were talking about the fucking Decide, and you said it's one of the most creatively mixed albums you've ever heard. Now talk about that mix job versus
this is so much more toned down in like the stereo image is so much simpler on Currents than it is on Decide, for sure. Like so many things in Currents are just mono. Whereas like Decide is all over the place, which is also why I love that album. Currents is like a like masterclass in like the fundamentals of mixing, where it's like the way that everything is compressed is perfect, and the way everything is EQ'd so that every element, EQ is like bass or high end frequencies, like the way things are like EQ'd so that each element can stand with itself independently and not mask other things is phenomenal, which then leaves him with so much room to do the trippy effect stuff that he's so good at being creative with, which we hear so much of on other albums. But the other albums kind of, and this is also what makes those other albums kind of sick, is like they have like a lot of like the psychedelic, like mid-rangey wall of sound craziness that happens in a lot of psych music. And Currents doesn't really do that. It just kind of has like these very, very precise like choices that also create these big, lush sounds, but it's a different kind of big.
For anyone who doesn't know, I think I mentioned it very briefly in the last episode when we talked about it. Tame Impala is a psych rock band. It's just one guy, but psych rock band from Australia, and then who made psych rock, and then Currents. It kind of made a little bit of an upset in the Tame Impala fan world because it's a pop record, and Kevin Parker, the guy behind it, was like, "I'm gonna make a pop record," and that is what he did with Currents. And he was like, "This is pop," and it's, similar to what you were saying. It's so incredible to hear like what Kevin Parker, a psych head's take on a pop record is. Just like you said, the fundamentals are all there. Like when you listen to pop music in good speakers or good headphones, you're like, "Wow, this just like it sounds fucking perfect. Like everything is mixed perfectly." So it's like that with crazy effects and trippy stuff.
Two albums that sit together with me about like kind of when you think about like pop music and like how well it's mixed and how good it sounds, like Currents to me and 24 Karat Magic sit in like the same realm of like mixing and sound choices and things like that. Like they're not at all similar albums musically, but those two albums both sound fucking insanely good. Like
24 Karat Magic is such a sick album, and it does sound really, really good. I'm hesitant to say I think it sounds better than Currents, like mixing wise. Just like
you can say that. That's okay. I mean, it's not like much better, but it's I mean, it's fair. Like that album, it doesn't fucking miss anywhere. There's not a single thing that wasn't like brushed
24 Karat
over.
Magic? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
No, it's like
Yeah.
it's flawless in the sense of like there's no blemishes.
Yeah.
Like it's all fucking ironed out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a Bruno Mars record.
Yeah.
We're not gonna let
Yeah.
a shitty take get in the fucking final cut.
I've heard Kevin Parker also talk about how he was trying to kind of make pop songs with lonerism. Um, I can't remember the song it was. Um, but it was like some boy band song. I can't remember what boy band it was. It might have been NSYNC or something like that. Was like one of their songs was like the inspiration for "Feels Like We Only Go Backwards," and it just was like what it turned into was just that. I think that what we see with Currents, if I had to take my best guess, is just like the introduction of obviously more synthesizers, not just like the Juno 106 pad over like guitar.
Yeah.
But then also more sample replacing, because there's a lot of snaps and claps and things like that all throughout Currents. And then also there's just like, he's obviously layering samples on like the kicks sometimes, or just like mixing and gating the drums so that they're just snappy, and that's what it is. It's a lot less like, okay, we're going to have like one microphone, compress it, and just have lots of room noise and things like that. So it gets a little bit cleaner, a little bit more electronic, but it's still the same, and it's awesome. I love it. So that's why it's my number one. Also, like, there's no album that I've listened to more. Like,
True.
That same way that you were talking about Universe Smiles Upon You. Like, there's been periods of time in my life, like long periods of time,
You listen to it
where
every
like
day.
I get in the car and drive to, like, whether it was like from Doylestown to Philadelphia, like, which is an hour drive. Like, I would drive to go, down to Philly, listen to the entire album, and then whenever I turned around and went home, I would listen to the entire album again, and then I would do the same thing the next day. Or like if I was going to work, like it would just be like continuing where I left off in Currents. Like it was just, yeah.
It's just always on.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a warm, comforting blanket.
I wanted to say, so, okay. Wow. Fuck. The reason I haven't been listening to Currents as much as of recently is, and this was a very distinct point that I wanted to make, was that I feel like the reason it kind of dropped out of like the current music that I listen to, is because I feel like after Currents came out, we've now had like 8 years of so many people just trying to like remake those sounds on that album and remake those songs in a sense.
Give me an example. Here, let's do this. Pause.
Examples. I mean, talented people are still talented even if they are like wearing their influences on their shoulders.
No, I know.
And,
I just can't think of anybody that I'm like, oh, they're trying to do Currents.
I mean, Kid Bloom. I'd say Joe Keery a little bit. Yeah.
I think Kid Bloom is, well, no. I think Kid Bloom is like a combination of like The Weeknd and like maybe some of his older stuff. The Weeknd and Harry Styles. That's what I meant to say, with like an indie twist. Kid Bloom's sick too.
If I'm being honest, like
what about these artists like are you like, oh, they're trying to redo Currents sounds?
the kind of like just the way that, like, honestly, I mean, I don't want to overcomplicate it. I think just like the mix of the way that like indie musicians are mixing like drums and synthesizers more and more. I mean, I'm definitely in that group of people too. Where I like definitely, I mean, all the songs that I have out right now were kind of like me diving into that for the first time. And some of the songs I never put out that were part of those older ones were even more so like just Currents kind of rips in a way. But
I mean, personally, I think I mean, I don't disagree with you. I think Currents is the thing that like brought synths into like the forefront of a lot of musicians' repertoire of sounds that they want to use. I think there's two people. I think there's two people who defined a generation of indie rock musicians, and it's Kevin Parker, Tame Impala, and Mac DeMarco.
Yeah.
I think those two people. I think people either tried to be Tame Impala or they tried to be Mac DeMarco. And Tame Impala, everybody was just trying to get those sounds if they wanted to have a more polished sound, and then if everybody wanted to be like just thrown together, they just tried to sound like Mac DeMarco. They're two opposite ends of the spectrum, but both defining factors of like 2014 to like 2018 sound.
I agree. But then also, you know, I started listening to the Flaming Lips.
Dude, the Flaming Lips have a sick album where they just cover Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's really cool.
I started listening to the Flaming Lips a little bit more. And I want to look up the specific album real quick. I'm sorry. I was listening to At War with the Mystics, the 2006 album. And this kind of goes against exactly what I'm saying. But, dude, Flaming Lips has got to be a Joe, DJO influence. Dude, yeah. I mean, some of the, like, guitar tones and, like, almost like the like composition choices, like the way that like they'll move, like transition from section to section, it's like very similar to both 2020 and Decide. And I was like, huh, pretty crazy.
Maybe I'll have to I haven't really given Flaming Lips a big listen. Like, I mean, I know that one record where they just cover Dark Side of the Moon, and I think what they do with a lot of those songs is fucking awesome. But I haven't really listened to their original stuff.
Flaming Lips, I can't recommend like multiple albums and songs and things like that. I really do like At War with the Mystics, but if you go through their repertoire, like they are definitely grandfathers of like inner speaker lonerism type sound for sure. I mean, the same guy, like Dave Fridman, he worked on a lot of Flaming Lips music and he mixed lonerism. And I think he might have also helped on Inner Speaker or did both. So like that.
Wait. What's his name?
Dave Fridman.
I thought Kevin Parker mixed everything.
Later. Like,
interesting.
Dave Fridman mixed fully. I think maybe it was Inner Speaker and then helped mix lonerism, or maybe he didn't touch Inner Speaker and then like helped mix lonerism. And then after that, it was just Kevin. But the like that like really abrasive, like roomy drum sound is like Dave Fridman's bread and butter. And
interesting. Like, which is not what Currents is, though.
No,
Currents is like the opposite of that. Damn! Look at us.
Yeah.
Oh, what a wonderful morning! I don't dig doing the podcast in the morning.
You don't dig it?
No, I'm a sweepy boy.
Yeah, well.
Any closing thoughts, not only on the episode, but on our top 10 albums of all time series? This has been awesome. We took 3 fucking weeks to do this. I don't know about you. Maybe you guys are pissed off. I thought it was great.
I don't feel confident in my decisions whatsoever. So, especially, dude, 10 through 6 was so hard for me to nail down. My top 5 is so obvious. You know, like anybody that knows me is not surprised by my top 5 albums.
You got any other honorable mentions that you didn't do last week?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head necessarily. I mean, fuck. Like, I didn't talk about Revolver or Rubber Soul. Like, those weren't even on my honorable mentions, but like, I just didn't want to.
So we could just put the
too
Beatles.
deep. Yeah.
Should we do? This is gonna be fuck. I was gonna say, what if we just did like our top 5 artists of all time, but yours is gonna be like
It's
the
gonna be the
Beatles,
same-
Tame Impala, Mac DeMarco,
Daft Punk.
Daft Punk.
Yeah.
You know, all my favorite albums, just those artists.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nah, it's
I-
the same thing.
Should we do worst?
No.
Should we do overrated, underrated?
Sure. Yeah, let's do that. We'll do that. Let's compile our the lists that we want to ask each other though.
Fuck.
And then we'll do it live. You don't get to prepare at all. We'll just
Dude.
make each other's lists for overrated and
You're
underrated.
gonna get me in trouble, dude. I'm gonna say some shit about some people's favorite artists that they're not gonna like. Okay, yeah, we can do that. We'll compile lists. You have to be nice though. You can't choose like people I don't like. Because there's
David's list is gonna be Drake, Frank Ocean, Taylor Swift. Yeah, no, we'll do that. It'll be
okay,
fun.
cool. Next week. Whoa! Next week.
I haven't taken my morning shit yet, dude. I'm sorry.
We're gonna do overrated, underrated. Let us know if there's anything else you want us to do. And Liquid Death, don't forget to sponsor us. You liked our reel, so I know you like us.
We love you.
All right. See you guys next week. Bye.